Chapter 1: The Call Back Home. The city always hummed at night. Neon signs bleeding into the rain-slicked streets, the endless thrum of engines, the clink of glasses behind every bar door. It was a rhythm she'd made her own. For 21 years, her life had been a pendulum swing between survival and longing. But here, in the city, she had finally convinced herself she'd escaped the shadows of her childhood. She had a sleek apartment, a diamond ring on her finger, and a fiancé who checked all the boxes on paper. Her future sparkled with the kind of stability her old world had never promised. But stability was fragile. It shattered with one phone call. Her phone buzzed against the marble countertop as she was uncorking a bottle of wine, still humming to herself after a late lecture. She smiled, thinking it was Jason, her fiancé, probably asking if she wanted takeout. But when she saw the caller ID, her stomach tightened into a fist. Logan. Her brother never called. Not unless it was serious. Not unless it was life or death. She let it ring once.
Twice.
Her hands shook before she picked up. Hello. The silence on the other end was thicker than concrete. Then his voice came, low, jagged, and edged with something that clawed down her spine. He's gone. She swallowed hard.
Who?
Our father. The world tilted. For a second, she couldn't breathe. Images, her father's leather jacket reeking of smoke and gasoline, his booming laugh in the garage, the shadow he cast over every part of her childhood, rushed her like a storm. What do you mean gone? She whispered. Murdered, Logan said flatly. Found him this morning. Bullet between the ribs. No witnesses. No answers. Her hand gripped the counter, knuckles blanching white. She wanted to hang up, to slam the phone down and pretend she hadn't heard. But his voice yanked her back to reality. You need to come home. Her chest tightened. Home. That wasn't home. That was the pit she'd crawled out of, the world of bikes, leather, and blood. A world she swore she'd never return to. I can't. You will. Logan's tone hardened. No room for refusal. We're family. And family shows up. Don't make me come get you. The line clicked dead before she could argue. Her knees gave out, and she slid to the floor, clutching the phone like it could anchor her. Her father was dead. Murdered. And now Logan wanted her back in the den of wolves she'd escaped. Jason found her hours later, still curled on the floor. He crouched, brushing her hair back. Babe? What happened? Her throat closed around the truth, but when she managed to speak, her voice was hollow. My dad.
He's dead.
I have to go home. The ride back was suffocating. She drove through miles of highway, the hum of her car nothing compared to the roaring thunder she knew awaited her. She hadn't seen her brother's crew in years, but their image was burned into her memory. The black leather, the tattoos etched like warnings across their skin, the wolves hidden just beneath the surface.
The pack.
As the outskirts of the city gave way to cracked roads and rusted signs, her chest grew tight. The clubhouse loomed in her mind long before she saw it, the neon wolf emblem glowing against the night, the smell of oil and whiskey soaking the air, the sound of laughter that was more growl than joy. And him. She told herself she wouldn't think about him, but her body betrayed her, heat curling low at the thought of the enforcer. Her brother's right hand. Her forbidden ghost. The first time she'd seen him, she was 16. He'd been leaning against his bike, cigarette between his lips, his eyes the color of midnight storms. He never looked at her twice. She was just Logan's little sister, off limits. Still, her stomach had fluttered in ways she couldn't explain. Now, 5 years later, she knew facing him would be a different kind of storm. The clubhouse came into view like a bad dream resurrected. Bikes lined the gravel lot, chrome catching the dim light. Music thumped from inside, voices loud, angry, alive. She parked at the edge, heart racing, and stepped out. The smell hit first, gasoline, smoke, leather, and blood like always. The door creaked open before she reached it. And there he was. The enforcer. Taller than she remembered. Broader. His dark hair was messy, his jaw was shadowed with stubble. His eyes locked on hers, sharp and unreadable. She froze. "Little bird," he said, his voice a gravel-lined growl. The nickname was a dagger to her chest. Her lips parted, but no words came. He didn't smile, didn't soften. He just watched her, like a predator watching prey. Then, without another word, he stepped aside to let her in. The noise swallowed her whole, shouts, clinking glasses, the crackle of tension that never left this place. Logan stood near the bar, his arms folded, tattoos crawling up his neck. He looked older, harsher, but the fire in his eyes was the same. "You came," he said simply. "I didn't have a choice," she replied. His jaw ticked. "You always have a choice. Just not always a good one." She wanted to ask about their father, about what had happened, but her throat closed again. And then she felt it, that other gaze. Heavy, burning into her skin. The enforcer hadn't stopped watching her. And she knew, deep down, that coming back here was going to ruin everything she thought she had escaped. The air inside the clubhouse was thick with smoke, oil, and testosterone. It pressed against her chest, suffocating and familiar, every sound dragging her back to a life she thought she'd buried. Men crowded the tables, shot glasses slamming down, laughter echoing like gunfire. Women lingered in the shadows, draped over chairs and laps, their perfume barely masking the stench of whiskey. She hated how it all felt the same, like no time had passed, like she'd never left. Logan motioned her toward a back hallway, away from the noise. She followed, her boots sinking into the sticky floor, her heart hammering harder with each step. When the office door shut behind them, silence finally fell. He leaned against the desk, arms crossed. "You look different. So do you." She studied him. His jaw was sharper, his shoulders broader, but his eyes, they were the same wolfish blue, hardened by years of leading a pack through chaos. "City girl now," he muttered, scanning her neatly pressed coat, her manicured nails. "Bet you forgot all about this place." She stiffened. "I tried." His eyes flicked up, sharp. "Don't. Whatever you've been pretending out there. It doesn't matter here. You're blood. And blood doesn't wash off." She opened her mouth to argue, but the truth of it shut her down.
Blood.
It was why she was here. Why she couldn't ignore the call, no matter how much she wanted to. Finally, she whispered, "What happened to him?" Logan's jaw tightened. "Don't know. No one's talking. Could be the Reapers. Could be someone inside. But whoever it was, they'll pay." The fury in his voice was a blade. It cut through her, sharp and merciless. She nodded slowly, her hands twisting in her lap. Her father might have been hard, cruel even, but he had been theirs. And someone had stolen him. A knock sounded at the door. Before she could answer, the enforcer stepped in. Her breath caught. He filled the doorway, broad shoulders casting shadows, tattoos coiling up his forearms. His presence sucked the oxygen out of the room. He didn't look at Logan first. He looked at her. Logan noticed. His eyes narrowed. "What is it?" The enforcer tore his gaze away and spoke, his voice low, steady. "We need to move fast. Word is, the Reapers are circling. They think your father's death left us weak." Logan pushed off the desk, cursing under his breath. "Not on my watch. Double the runs. Triple security. Nobody gets near her." Her head jerked up. "Excuse me?" Logan's voice hardened. "You're staying close. No wandering. No running back to your shiny city life. Until this is over, you're under protection." She bristled. "I don't need a babysitter." The enforcer's mouth twitched, almost a smirk. "That's what all the little birds say, right before their wings get clipped." Heat flooded her face. "Don't call me that." But his eyes lingered on her, slow and deliberate, like he was memorizing the way anger lit her cheeks. Logan didn't notice. He was already pacing, muttering orders, his phone buzzing. The enforcer leaned casually against the doorframe, arms crossed, gaze locked on her like she was the only thing in a room that mattered. She felt it again, that dangerous pull. The one she'd sworn to bury years ago. And she hated herself for how her body responded. Later that night, after the clubhouse noise had died down, she slipped outside for air. The cold bit her skin, sharp and clean, chasing away the heavy stink inside. She leaned against her car, staring up at the stars, trying to convince herself she wasn't suffocating. "City's softer, isn't it?" She jumped. He was there again, stepping out of the shadows like he'd been waiting. Her heart stuttered. "Do you always sneak up on people?" "Only the ones who don't belong." His eyes glinted in the dark. She folded her arms. "And you think I don't?" He stepped closer, slow, deliberate.
You left.
"People don't leave this world. Not unless they're running." And runners, his gaze dragged down her body, heated and sharp. "They always get caught." Her throat tightened. "You don't know me." His jaw flexed, his voice dropping to a low growl. "I know enough. You've got that city polish now, but underneath," he leaned in, so close she could feel his breath. "You're still the same little bird who used to look at me like I was your favorite sin." Her stomach flipped. She forced herself to scoff. "You're delusional." He smirked, dangerous and sure. "Maybe. But you're trembling." She froze. She was trembling. Damn him. Before she could reply, the door banged open and Logan stormed out, phone to his ear. The enforcer straightened instantly, his expression shutting down. Hard and unreadable. Logan didn't notice the tension crackling between them. He muttered something about patrols and disappeared into the night. But she noticed. And she knew he noticed too. For years, he'd kept his distance. A rule he never broke. But rules had a way of snapping in the dark. Chapter 2. Ashes of the Past. The morning light didn't soften the clubhouse. If anything, it made the cracks worse, the cigarette burns in the carpet, the bloodstains half-scrubbed from the floor, the stench of stale beer clinging to everything. She sat at the long table, nursing a cup of bitter coffee while the pack moved around her. Men came and went, voices rough, boots heavy against the wood. Every glance that slid her way was sharp, assessing. Some are curious.
Some are not so kind.
She straightened her shoulders, refusing to shrink under their stares. But inside, she wanted to vanish. Logan was at the head of the table, phone buzzing every other minute, giving orders like a general at war. His presence filled the room, commanding, restless, dangerous. And then there was him. The enforcer leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes sweeping over everything like a predator waiting for movement. He hadn't spoken to her since last night, but she felt him. Felt his gaze slide to her every few minutes, lingering too long before shifting away. She hated that her skin burned wherever his eyes touched. Logan finally slammed his phone down, dragging the room into silence. "We've got two priorities," he barked. "Lock down our runs. And find the bastard who put a bullet in Dad." A murmur of agreement rolled through the table. One man spoke up. "Reapers are sniffing around. Heard they're running guns through Eastfield again. Might be their way of showing we're slipping." Logan's jaw clenched. "Then we show them we're not." He pointed at the enforcer. "You'll take point. Double patrols. Nobody moves without your eyes on them." The enforcer nodded once. Controlled.
Steady.
Then Logan's gaze slid to her. "And you." She froze. "What about me?" "You're not setting foot outside this clubhouse alone. You're a target now. They'll come after blood." Her stomach turned. "Logan." His voice cut sharp. "This isn't up for debate." The enforcer's eyes flicked to hers, unreadable. And in that moment, she knew exactly who her jailer was going to be. Later, she wandered into the garage out back, needing air. The place hadn't changed, grease-stained floors, half-torn posters of women in leather, the faint hum of engines cooling after long rides. It smelled like her childhood, like smoke and gasoline, like ghosts. Her father's tools were still there, lined neatly on the wall. She ran her fingers along the worn handles, her throat tight. Memories clawed their way back, him teaching her how to change oil, how to grip a wrench, how to listen to the heart of an engine. She hated that her chest ached. "You miss him," a voice said behind her. She spun. He was there again, leaning against the doorway, shadows clinging to him like armor. Her lips pressed into a line. "Of course I do. He was my father." His gaze didn't waver. Doesn't mean he was easy to love. The words hit harder than she expected. He wasn't wrong. Her father had been a storm, loud, violent, demanding. A man who worshipped loyalty and punished weakness. But he was still hers. She swallowed hard. Why are you here? He smirked faintly. Logan told me to keep an eye on you. Her spine stiffened. So you're my babysitter now. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate. No, little bird. I'm your guard dog. The nickname scraped her raw. She hated it. Hated how it sent heat crawling under her skin. I don't need protecting. His eyes darkened, and for a moment, something primal flashed there. Everyone needs protecting. Some more than others. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She wanted to argue, to push him back. But the words died when his hand brushed past hers, grabbing a wrench off the table. The heat of that almost touch sent a shiver racing down her arm. He didn't acknowledge it. Just twirled the wrench once, then set it back. Stay sharp, little bird. This place eats the weak alive. And then he was gone, leaving her trembling with anger, confusion, and something far more dangerous. That night, the pack gathered again. Music thumped low, whiskey flowed, but beneath it all, the air was tense. Everyone was waiting for blood, for orders, for a sign of who would strike first. She sat near the edge of the room, feeling like an intruder. Logan was deep in conversation with his men, planning, strategizing. She tried to fade into the shadows. But trouble had a way of finding her. A man she didn't recognize swaggered over, reeking of beer and smoke. His grin was too wide, his eyes too hungry. Didn't know Logan's sister was back, he drawled, sliding into the seat beside her without asking. She stiffened. And now you do. He leaned closer, his breath sour. Pretty thing like you shouldn't sit alone. Dangerous in a place like this. Before she could reply, a shadow fell over them. The enforcer. His hand clamped down on the man's shoulder, fingers digging in hard enough to make him flinch. Move. The man tried to laugh it off. Hey, I was just...
Now.
The word was a growl, sharp enough to cut. The man's grin faltered. He stood, muttering something under his breath, and vanished into the crowd. The enforcer slid into the empty seat, his presence filling the space like smoke. He didn't look at her right away, just poured himself a drink, his jaw tight. Finally, his gaze lifted.
Dark.
Burning. You're a magnet for trouble. Her chest tightened. Maybe trouble's a magnet for me. For the first time, something like a smile ghosted across his lips. Dangerous.
Knowing.
He leaned closer, his voice a low rumble meant only for her. Careful, little bird. You don't want to find out how right you are. The days blurred together, each one pressing her tighter into a world she'd promised herself she'd never touch again. Mornings were filled with the clatter of boots and engines, the pack gearing up for runs. Evenings sank into whiskey-soaked laughter and the constant hum of violence simmering beneath the surface. Every corner smelled of oil and smoke, every wall hummed with danger. She hated how quickly it all came back to her. The codes. The unspoken rules. The way everyone deferred to Logan, and the way every eye flicked to the enforcer before a move was made. It was like gravity, inescapable, inevitable. And she was caught in its pull. One afternoon, she slipped out to the edge of the lot, desperate for air. The sun was low, washing the cracked asphalt in orange light. She leaned against her car, eyes closed, pretending for just a moment that she could still leave. The roar of engines shattered the illusion. 3 bikes tore into the lot, dust kicking up behind them. She recognized the cuts they wore instantly. The Reapers. Her heart stuttered. They shouldn't have been here. Not this close. The riders killed their engines, silence falling heavy. One of them swung off his bike, helmet tucked under his arm. His grin was sharp, cruel. Well. Logan's little sister. She froze, every muscle locking tight. You shouldn't be here. He laughed, the sound cold. Neither should you. Word is, you've gone soft in the city. Pretty little thing like you wouldn't last a day out here anymore. The other two chuckled darkly, circling closer. Her pulse pounded. She took a step back, but the leader matched it, closing the space. Maybe we should test that theory, he murmured, reaching out like he might touch her. A growl split the air.
Low.
Dangerous. Animal. The enforcer stepped out from the shadows, his presence hitting like a blade drawn from its sheath. His eyes burned, sharp enough to slice through the three of them. Touch her, he said, voice like gravel and thunder, and you won't leave this lot alive. The Reaper smirked, though his hand fell away. Easy, dog. We're just talking. The enforcer moved closer, slow and steady, like a predator stalking prey. Then talk to me. The air thickened, heavy with tension. For a heartbeat, she thought the Reapers would push it. She could almost see it, the fight exploding, blood spilling on the asphalt. But something in the enforcer's stare made them hesitate. The leader finally lifted his hands in mock surrender. Another time, maybe. They mounted their bikes, engines snarling to life, and tore out of the lot, leaving dust and silence in their wake. Her lungs burned as she realized she'd been holding her breath. The enforcer turned to her, eyes still wild. He stepped close, closer than he should, until she could feel the heat rolling off him. You don't wander alone, he growled. Not ever. Her voice shook, but she forced it out. I didn't think. That's the problem, he snapped, his jaw tight. You don't think. You walk out here like bait, and they'll circle you until they tear you apart. Anger flared, hot enough to burn away the fear. I didn't ask for your protection. His gaze dropped to her mouth, lingered, then snapped back up. His voice dropped lower, rougher. Doesn't matter. You've got it. The words hit her harder than they should have. For a moment, neither of them moved. The air between them sizzled, heavy, dangerous. She swore she could hear his heartbeat, or maybe it was her own, pounding too fast, too loud. Then he stepped back, breaking the spell. Stay sharp, little bird, he muttered, turning away. But she didn't miss it, the way his hands clenched like he was fighting himself. And she knew. She wasn't the only one trembling. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the Reaper's hungry grins. The way the enforcer had stepped between her and them like he was ready to burn the world down to keep her safe. And worse, the way her body had responded. Heat curled low in her belly, shameful and undeniable. She hated it. Hated that she wanted him. Hated that he made her feel alive in a way Jason never had. And she hated the truth that gnawed at her in the dark. No matter how hard she fought it, she was already tangled back in this world. And she wasn't sure she wanted to escape this time. The call came late. She was in her room above the clubhouse, trying to drown out the muffled roar of laughter below. Sleep hadn't come easy since she'd returned, her body too aware of the walls closing in, of the predator pacing just beyond them. Her phone buzzed across the nightstand. Jason. Her chest squeezed. For a heartbeat, relief. The city. Normalcy. Someone who wasn't blood and bullets. She snatched the phone up, pressing it to her ear. Jason. Hey, babe. His voice was smooth, familiar. For a second, she almost forgot everything. The smoke, the danger, the shadows clawing at her. Almost. Where are you? She whispered, curling into herself. Still in the city. Work's been, crazy. I've been worried sick about you, though. Your brother, that whole world, I told you it's poison. Her throat tightened. My father's dead, Jason. Murdered. I didn't have a choice. A pause. Then a sigh. I know. I hate that place. Hate what it does to people. Promise me you won't let it suck you back in. She closed her eyes. I'm trying. Silence stretched, heavy and uneven. Something in his tone, it wasn't right. Too smooth. Too rehearsed. Jason, she said slowly. Where are you right now? A muffled laugh echoed through the line. Not his. A woman's. Her stomach dropped. Jason. Her voice sharpened. He hesitated, just long enough for the truth to bleed through. Babe, it's not what you think. The sound of a moan cut him off. Her blood went cold. She yanked the phone away, staring at the glowing screen like it had just stabbed her. Her chest cracked open, fury and heartbreak crashing in waves. The perfect fiancé. The perfect life.
A lie.
A knock hit her door. Hard. Before she could wipe her face, Logan pushed in. His eyes swept the phone in her hand, the tears she couldn't hide. "What happened?" he demanded. She shook her head, choking on the words. "Jason. He's." She couldn't finish. Didn't have to. Logan's jaw tightened, his eyes going ice cold. "Where is he?"
She didn't want this.
Not like this. But when the pack moved, there was no stopping it. Logan barked orders, phones buzzed, engines roared to life. Within an hour, Jason was dragged into the clubhouse, kicking and shouting, his perfect city suit torn and dirty. She stood frozen as they shoved him to the floor, the pack circling like wolves with fresh prey. "Logan," Jason's voice cracked. "This is insane. I came here to talk to her." Logan's fist slammed into his jaw. Jason collapsed, coughing blood. "You cheated on my sister," Logan snarled. "You humiliated her."
You think you get to talk after that?
Jason's wide eyes shot to her, desperate. "It's not true. Babe, please listen." Her stomach twisted. She wanted to believe him, wanted to cling to the illusion of the life she'd built. But the echo of that woman's laugh still rang in her ears. The moan, the hesitation. It was true, and her silence condemned him. Logan ripped the ring from Jason's finger and hurled it across the room. "Strip him," he ordered. The pack moved fast. Jacket, shirt, everything ripped away until Jason was bare-chested, bruised, and shivering. They dragged him toward the balcony, his screams bouncing off the walls.
No. Please.
She's lying. I love her." She flinched at the words, but Logan didn't. They tied him up, hung him from the balcony rails for everyone to see. Fists flew. Blood sprayed. Every punch was a verdict, every crack of bone a sentence. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then she felt it, that gaze. The enforcer stood at the edge of the chaos, silent, his eyes locked on hers. He didn't join the beating, didn't look at Jason. Only her. There was no judgment in his stare, only a raw, unspoken truth. Her old life was gone. The city, the ring, Jason. All of it was ash now. And the only thing left, the only anchor in the storm, was him. They left Jason broken, bloodied, a heap of flesh barely clinging to breath. The pack dispersed, laughter fading as the whiskey flowed again. Logan wiped his hands clean and shot her a look. "This is what happens to anyone who disrespects you. Remember that." She nodded numbly, though her chest was still cracked wide open. When she stumbled back to her room, the enforcer was already there, waiting.
He didn't speak.
Just leaned in the shadows, his eyes burning into her, steady and unrelenting. And for the first time, she didn't look away.